Hi everyone, it's Monica and welcome back to Taylor-Made Cards for You. Well, today I'm here to share with you a new product that I picked up from a company called LifeCraft. And LifeCraft reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in trying out some of their product. So of course I never want to miss an opportunity to try out a new company and some of the product that they may be offering. So when I checked out their site, they have a lot of great dies, and what I ended up picking were some fall leaves dies. Now, I know it is late in the season for fall leaves, but I don't have too many dies that are for fall cards, and I thought this would be a good opportunity not only to try out the product, but to also stock up on some of my fall dies. Now, typically when I make fall cards, I'm using some of my distress inks to create backgrounds, but I saw this paper stack that had some great fall colors, and I thought this stack would be perfect not only for fall cards, but to create some of my vintage grungy cards as well. So that's what we're going to do today. So the first thing that I did is I went ahead and I took my die and I cut out some of the leaves. Now, what I really liked about this die is that you can keep it together. You don't even have to take it apart, and you can die cut several different colors. Now, of course, the dies can be clipped apart, but I found that by keeping them together, number one, I'm not going to lose my small pieces, and number two, it's really easy just to get my 6x6 paper and run through several colors using my die to create all different sorts of leaves for my background. Now, for my background, I did choose some fall colored paper cardstock from my stash, and I'm going to go ahead and just layer it together. And what I really like about the paper that I'm using is it is paper that you can actually distress. It's called the craft cardstock, and it's the heavyweight that you can easily emboss, and you can also grunge it up with sandpaper as well. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just take a sanding block to it to give it some texture on the background. And you can add this texture not only to your background, but to your leaves as well. This paper is heavy enough where it's not going to tear if you add some sanding to it. But you do obviously have to take some care because it is paper and it can easily tear if you pull too hard on it. But as you can see, I can easily grunge it up using my sanding block. And then, of course, if you want to add a little bit more vintage flair to it, you can pull out your distressed inks or your distressed oxides and add some color to the edge. So once you've finished adding some color and distressing your leaves, then it's time to come up with some sort of a layout. Now with leaves, there's a lot of ways you can put this background together, but I find I just kind of play with them to visually see what I like. There's a lot of pieces here with these dies, and they're different sizes as well, so you can easily tuck pieces behind your leaves, layer on top. There's so many opportunities to create different designs using this die. So once I had my general layout, then I went ahead and I grabbed my fine tip glue and I started dyeing down the pieces. Now the little piece that I'm working with right now is kind of a little squiggle, and it was a nice addition to frame my leaves. So I went ahead and just continued on grabbing my 3-in-1 beacon for the bigger leaves and using my fine tip glue for the smaller leaves. And as you can see, I tried to keep my leaves somewhat in place so I can follow the layout that I had already put together. But for the most part, it's just the bigger leaves in the background, leaving some of the edges unglued so I can stick some of those smaller pieces around the edges. It's almost like putting together a bouquet or some sort of a centerpiece. You're going to start with your focal points, and then you're going to add some of the additional embellishments along the way. Now, one thing that I'm trying to do when I do put my layout together is I'm trying to mix and match my colors. And what I mean by that is if I have a darker rust leaf like the one I'm working with right now, I want to make sure that the smaller leaves that I put behind it or on top of it aren't the same color. So that way the smaller leaves or the smaller embellishments don't get lost in the design. Now, one of the things that I really liked about this die set is the fact that you get different sizes of leaves. So it's really easy to create a layered leaf card using this die set. And as I showed you in the beginning, I was able to run it through with one pass on my Big Shot. So I just got different colors of cardstock along with that colorful cardstock that I got from LifeCraft to create all sorts of different leaves. And then once I'm done with the card, I can just go ahead and put all the leaves in a little package and they'll be ready to go the next time around. So once I glued down all of the leaves for my focal point, I did decide to add a couple of leaves to the left-hand side as if they were falling out of the center. And that was just an extra addition that I added at the last minute. So for the most part, the card is pretty much done, but I did leave a portion open at the bottom of the card to add some sort of a sentiment. And of course, this was intentional. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to add something. There's a lot of ways you can go with this. You could easily add the word leaves. You can add the word fall, or you can add the word autumn. I ended up going with fall, and it's really dependent on how big your dies are. You could even stamp a sentiment at this point as well to be able to put it at the bottom. There's a lot of ways you can go with a design like this. You don't necessarily have to keep it all the same. For the most part, you could create your bundle of leaves and then change it up at the end. So as you can see, I am adding some distress ink to my letters, and then for the most part, that will finish the card. I did decide once I had my letters down that I wanted a little bit more shine and a little bit more glimmer, so I came in with some sequins. So I'll leave a list of all the products that I've used to create the card along with the links to the store. And Livescraft did give me a coupon code for 20% off their shop that I can share with you. So be sure to look for that in the description box below. So as you can see, I ended up with lots of extra leaves after creating this card. So I did end up creating a second card off camera, and be sure to stick around to the end of the video where I'm going to share with you not only a picture of this card, but a picture of the other card I created as well. So if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up before you head out. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on the little bell so that way you are notified when a new video does get loaded. So there still is a small window of opportunity to create some of our fall cards. And while I know many of us have already started on our Christmas cards, fall is such a pretty season. We don't want to let it pass us by without creating some wonderful cards that we can share with family and friends. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by. Don't forget to hang around to the end of the video so you can see the pictures of these cards, and we'll see you again next time.